We will start now. Thank you for joining this webinar. Today we are going to talk about some successful deployment we have already have for our SafeOccupancy solution for the COVID-19. First thing first, so this is a webinar where I would be doing my presentation at first, and I'll be recording it. So that you'll be able to, at the end of the webinar, we will share the recording so you can share it with your colleague, or if you want to look at it again. There will be a Q&A session at the end. So and if you have any questions, please write it down in the Q&A chat box, and I will go through them one by one. And should you forgotten to raise any questions here, not to worry, you can always just email us to our sales team, and we will get back to you on that as well. So let's start, and I will be sharing my screen. So we have another webinar which is specifically about the COVID-19 safe occupancy system. So if it's for that, the technical details about that, then we do have that webinar, and we have a recording there. We'll probably be running some in the future as well. But if you'd like to go through that again, please request for one of the recording from us. But today, for this one, we are specifically wanting to share some of the successful case studies from our partners around the world. The reason for sharing this is also to showcase the different industries that have been installed, and sharing some of the tips and insights onto that, and how to penetrate that industry. So the topic for that, the difference industry will be for supermarkets. As we all know, this is probably one of the first one, shopping malls, the government facilities, libraries, museums, and universities, and also toilets. So I will go through that one by one. First thing first, with supermarkets and hypermarkets, we have, this is probably one of the major area where we have installed quite a lot now. Naturally, that is because, one is because they were, they kept their business open, so they were not affected. In fact, probably they're the one that have an increase in business. Obviously, they have the increase in challenge as well, because they're the one from day one that they have got to, they were burdened with the responsibility of keeping everyone safe, importantly, keeping their staff safe, and also their customer was being open and having to cope with that big amount of volume of customers. So these are the first one they have installed and are continually installing, because now the lockdown are lifted in many countries. So people are going back to their normal life. They will then come into the supermarkets. Of course, they are still expecting that the staff are expecting to be kept safe, and the customers as well. So these are some of them. This is one in Europe, and this is one from America, and we obviously installed in UK as well. For them, these are through our partners. Co-op is one that is a large chain in the UK. I will mention that later. So these two types are a hypermarket type. So big supermarket. So their challenge is that they couldn't visually tell from the entrance how many people are in there. Now they first got security guard in, but there's also a challenge of, if they have multiple entrances, when the volume is high, manual counting by security guard is a challenge. To judge how many people are actually in there. So they do have a responsibility to tell the staff that, you know, the number of people they're letting in are within the safe zone. So even though some of them are still having security guard, but they're also having this system as well. So that this system is a scientific way of calculating the total occupancy in their store, so that they can either let the customers see a big screen there on the ceiling, letting the customers see whether or not they can come in themselves. Usually with supermarket, hypermarket like this, they have peak hour. So at a non-peak hour, their customers will rely on looking at the screen. During the peak hour, sometimes they might actually have manpower as well at the entrances, but that manpower can be cut to an absolute minimum. So this is somewhere where there is still a continuous big demand in there. We are probably being seen as the highest accuracy. We do have every system is not 100% accurate. There are issues with accumulation of error throughout the day. So for example, so if you have already installed some system, you have already known that from in the morning, the accuracy error is probably quite small, but then throughout the day, it will increase. So that's why we have put in AI model and machine learning in there. So these are the things that is a service that we put in to support on there. And I want to talk about the smaller type. This is co-op. I will play a video actually. I can play the video here. So this, unlike the other bigger supermarket chain, this is a large chain. They have more than 2,500 stores just in the UK. Sorry, I explain a little bit about this video. So they have a traffic light there, the red and green, just like our one. So we integrated with the door. So now it's red, so meaning the inside is full. So that's why the gentleman, this guy, he couldn't go in because the door is not opening, because we do the integration. Now you have a customer leaving, and then when the door is closed, it then becomes green. So the door will now be green, and then someone can walk in. This one, we worked with our technology partner, Dormakaba. They are a global company with 16,000 employees and a 2 billion annual revenue. So it's a massive company. They do doors, automatic doors. So we integrated with the door. It's a very, very simple integration. In here, the engineers is providing a connection in the box on there, so that we have a relay, because our camera already, the reason they're working with us is because our camera already have a relay, GPIO relay that can be done. So now we have 2 customers went in and it became red. So you need to wait for 2 more customers to come out before it will become green again. So this is our occupancy. Now these are where is this model type is for like this small format store, like convenience store, like 7-Eleven, or any news agent in your area. That is because for them, it is a small format store. It is very easy for them to be overcrowded. So unlike those massive hypermarket and supermarket, they can take hundreds before they actually reach their threshold to provide a safe occupancy. But for these stores, is very, very easy. The limit for this, the threshold is actually around 10. Some 8, some 15 or 20. It's a very, very small numbers that they are catering. So there is a huge demand for this kind of stores. One is because they don't have manpower. They cannot have a security guard out there throughout the day because they are having a very small store. You are talking about only being able to allow 10 people. You can't have more than 10 people to keep a safe distance inside the store. So they need this constantly. And the other thing is they probably usually would like to be integrated to their sliding door. It's just so that they don't even have to worry about customer just ignoring the sign and coming in. So with an integration. So these integration are something that we support our reseller on, where we provide you with all those infrastructure so that it can be easily installed. Now, this one thing about this is that they actually make it simple, make it very simple. The automatic door the store already have. Of course, if the store doesn't have an automatic door, you don't have to worry. The automatic door they already have. What they're installing is what they're proposing. So from our reseller, Dormakaba, what they're proposing to this large chain is that it's a very simple solution. Just a camera there and a connection from the camera to the door control, and putting a traffic light out there. This traffic light probably costs about £60, and also a voice box outside. So the voice box will, if you watch that video, you probably can hear that. When it's green, it will say welcome. When it turns red, it will just say please wait, kind of message. So they obviously record that message there. So this is the use case in supermarket, the different type, the bigger one and the smaller one. And then naturally a shopping mall. We see a lot of a requirement coming in right just before all the just before the date where the lockdown are lifted, and also continually. So shopping malls traditionally they have always been having people counting, because they like to know how many people they are attracting, how many shoppers they are attracting, and also giving that footfall to their tenants to tell them that, oh, I'm actually attracting quite a lot of shoppers into our mall, so hence that justify our rental rates. So a lot of shopping malls, usually they are the first one who wanting to install people counting way before any retailers. But now it is crucial for them to have a safe occupancy. So what we're finding is they install quite all the entrances, and also at the escalators and lifts. So anything that go up to one floor or go up to the different floors, so that they have a total occupancy for the whole mall, and also the split level occupancy of for each floor. So this is something, because they are being seen to have the responsibility. So because they are obviously wanting as a community image to their surrounding areas, that their shopping mall is safe to enter, and also as a responsibility to the tenant. They have to justify to the tenant that we are doing something to keep the numbers safe in our mall, so it is safe to continually open your stores here at our mall. So we do have a lot of that. Now we have also seen that because some, as we say, some already have a camera in there, but their current vendor is not providing an occupancy count. So they can't have that. So they will have got to replace it with our system. We have also seen many that they have a previous vendor that they're promising them with an occupancy counting as well. Their in count and the out count are very accurate as well, but then they are not being able to deliver the occupancy. We have to be aware that the occupancy system are very new to this whole industry, to the whole world really. Not a lot of cases occupancy were not a requirement at all, but now suddenly the whole world is requiring some sort of occupancy counting. So it is a very new demand, and again it is a very new development for many companies, and there are a lot of challenges as well. But we are the one that we have been able to develop to deliver. I've got to be very honest, it's not without hiccups. We do, but at least we are delivering, and we have to many customers around the world. Now, so that were the retail. So retails, as you notice, I'm focused. The demand are from coming from markets that where they were able to keep opening. So apart from supermarkets, shopping malls, you also have DIY stores, sports stores, all those convenience stores. So you may want to target this, because these are the ones that are making business. In this current situation, a lot of companies are tightening their budget. That's because their business were also affected. But you also have the other industries that are actually still in fact booming for the supermarkets. And of course, shopping malls, they have got to keep getting the business back as well. They are a real estate, so so their running cost is actually not that high. So they do have the budget, and they obviously need to keep the business running as well. So they have an immediate demand on that. Then you have the government sector. So government sector, again, as we say, they are continually demand on there. We have done a lot more, far a lot more now, but some we are probably not allowed to share. So with this one, they do go through a small bidding process, as any government facilities will be, but it was very, very fast paced. The sales cycle was very, very short. They do have quite more specific demand where, for example, they want to have the server on premise. So they might require a server on each building. All the data are actually stored there, all within the store. So requirements like this, where we can actually support you with. So the IT requirements are very specific, very stringent. Again, we can support you on that. And also, naturally, they want the data with other retailers as well, with other companies as well. They do want the data to be going into their other platforms for government facilities, so more so. So they have a lot of safeguarding on there. So that's where we are able to support as well. Because a lot of our reseller, they will probably think that they are a bit nervous in targeting government facilities, because they might think that they may not have the expertise or the size to be able to impress the government. But actually, because we have all the support backend to support you, so I do encourage you to leverage our know-how and all the support that we can support you on. So do try to reach out to them. You'll be surprised that many of the government facilities, all those that are providing public services, they really are needing something like this. Again, obviously, it can be customized to any display that they require on there. These are more bigger scale, so the bigger department, and then you have the local council. Libraries is somewhere the local councils now they are opening back up on the libraries. And this is also a government department, but it's slightly different. Now, the libraries, a lot of local councils, they probably own 6 libraries, 10 libraries. They don't own a lot of them, but they are the ones that they have to have a people counting system for that, to count how many people coming in and out. Now, they are very low on resources, so they could not afford to have a security guard there, and that's definitely not long-term anyway. So they're needing a people counting. So, but actually libraries, even before this COVID-19, we have seen an increase in libraries wanting footfall. That is because they are wanting to justify funding. They're also wanting to see for the local council to see whether their facilities are sufficient. So maybe they have 6 libraries and they will think, oh, actually we have quite a high footfall, quite a high usage of our libraries. They might want to open up more libraries. They might want to move the libraries, things like this. So they have been requiring footfall. Now they are just doubling up for COVID-19 with the occupancy. And then you have museums. This is another type of government facilities. Some are private, but a lot of them, they are owned by the government or owned by institution. So some are owned by the universities, some are owned by some research institutions. So again, similarly, they were needing footfall previously, even though it may not have been a must-have for them initially, but now it become a must-have for occupancy. So we do see a lot of increase in there because they feel that they do have a community responsibility to keep open because they have educational value. So museums are something that, you know, they have educational value for that, and so they need to keep open, but obviously they have got to keep everyone safe as well. So this is definitely somewhere where you have a big demand on there. Now, museums, apart from the entrances to know how many people go into the building, now museums usually they have different exhibits, and they are wanting to channel their crowd from one room to the other. So, for example, they come into so this is an exhibit. Obviously, they come into this room. If this room is full, they want to move people to the other room. So sometimes where you have a big queue right at the main entrance, it's not because the total occupancy of the museum is full. It's probably because one of the room is full. So they have a lot of challenge for museum. It's not just the total occupancy in the whole museum. So sometimes it could be one specific very interesting exhibit in one of the room that is overcrowded. So they have to maintain that. They have got to move people from one to the other. This is the specific requirement from museum. So when you know about that, then you're able to go and talk to the museum, their specific challenge. So with this one, you're installing not just the main entrances. So you'll be installing the main entrances, all the main entrances for the total occupancy, but you're also wanting to install in the room. So they will require a lot more cameras from you so that they can see the traffic flow from one end to the other. The other thing is also they would like to know, because usually at the end of the museum, they will have a retail store. They will have the souvenir store. So that is where, which is the main part of the, one main part of the revenue for the museum as well. So they do know how many people, they want to know how many people go into the to their retail stores. What they're wanting to know is the proportion of the visitors that go into their souvenir shop. So maybe they have 2,000 people coming in today, and what is the proportion, and break down to the different hours that goes into their souvenir shops. So these are the specific requirement for museum, apart from the occupancy. So if you are able to showcase your understanding for this specific industry, then naturally then they will be picking you to install the occupancy system. Now, the other one is, as we say, institutions, universities. Now, universities, some have been closed, but now they are, depending on your academic year, many are starting in September, October time. This is when they are quite concerned. They obviously have all the planning to say whether or not they should continue with their lectures and all that, whether or not they are letting student back in. So a lot of plannings are going on. And this is something that is quite easy for them to make a decision on. It's quite easy for them to execute. That is installing a occupancy counting. So in all the buildings, going in through the different buildings, so that they make sure that during lunchtime the students are they're not overcrowding the cafeteria area or the student union area, and also where they are, if they are going back to having lectures, whether the lecture halls are obviously controlling the safe numbers. So for universities, a campus, it is a massive number. And so some of our resellers, what they have been doing, many of the universities, they directly contact us. The reason is because they just search on Google for for any occupancy system out there. So obviously we advertise highly on Google, but your local universities, they probably will rely on seeing your page. So if you have a website with a page saying occupancy counting, and then your universities will probably search for the keyword for that. So as long as you have a landing page to go on there, you'll probably be attracting their inquiries from them for that. And also a lot of our resellers are actually saying that they just cold email. A lot of all those case studies here that were done by resellers are actually called email. Just contact the universities. There are not a lot of universities in your country. You probably just send email to them, and you'll be surprised. And you're probably sending to different departments as well in the universities, because you're not sure who will actually be looking at. Usually it will be the facility, the building and facility department, but sometimes you'll be surprised. It could be a certain department, the head that actually wanting to protect his building. So, it can be the Department of Chemical Engineering, and they are needing to protect, they're wanting to run a scheme like this. So, so you want to probably be contacting them. So the use case of this is really to protect the whole campus, because they have got a lot of people they have to justify to the government. They have to answer to the parents of the students that their children are actually obviously not children. They're young adults now, but still they have to justify to the parents that their students are safe to come back to universities, and of course their employees as well, the lecturers and their or the academic staff. So they do have a lot of people to answer to, and hence a occupancy system is almost a no-brainer for them. So this is where you will want to target as well. Now then, this is toilets. So toilets, we do have a big technology partner as well, Rentokil. They provide smart toilet solution. So you probably know about Rentokil. They're a massive company worldwide. So now a lot of banks, from their customers, banks, big company where they own a whole building. So they have the employee to have got to obviously to answer to, and theme parks. So for example, specifically, this is just zoo. So theme parks, so toilets. Why toilets? So because that's for the market, this is huge. This is even bigger than any other specific industry, because you have toilets in all buildings. Obviously, the public toilets that they need to take care of. Now, theme park and all that, they do provide, for example, they always provide hand sanitizer. So there's obviously a running cost for hand sanitizer. Now, the cost of installing a camera is probably not higher than hand sanitizer, where they obviously have to run every day. Now, they need to attract people coming in. Offices, they need to start opening for employee to come back to work. Now, they obviously have a people counter at the entrances and all that to make sure how many number of people are coming in, just to make sure. But they need to let people come back to work, and they want to have visitors to come in. They can't really enforce their employee not to talk. They obviously have all those banners out there to remind people to keep their 2-meter distance, but then they can't really enforce people not talk to each other, because after all, offices, they need to keep doing work, and for theme park, they need to want people to come in and enjoy and all that. So this is that toilets is somewhere where it's part of that health and safety policy that they need to make sure they have done something on. So this is where they are putting cameras outside the toilets, and then a screen outside the toilets to show, so you can probably see that screen there. It is now red. So a screen outside to show people that whether or not you should now go into the toilets. So some are even small toilets with 1 or 2 cubicles, they are putting in there. The reason is being because toilet doors are usually it's not a glass door. So you wouldn't know whether inside is crowded until you push the door and go in. So and toilets, there's where there are queue, so it's very difficult to maintain that. So so this is where they're wanting to put a screen outside, and also for the to be seen by the public that they have taken measures in place for all these facilities, and obviously to the employee as well, to make sure that they've seen they have done something on. So for theme park, installing a an occupancy counting, people counting, at the toilets, it's a very low cost to there comparatively for companies as well. So this is something that they're definitely looking at the cost of it. They definitely will want to put in these precaution steps. So they do have a budget for that. So these are the main industry that you probably want to target on because the budget is there ready. The use case is really there. So usually our resellers, they have come back to us again and again, is that the two main things to actually target these industries and also get attract these industries, they are your cold emails. So just send it out to any companies that you think that is big enough to have quite a few floors in, to have enough toilets, obviously, that have enough number of employee where they can't manage the toilets without having a system like this. And big theme parks, they obviously are wanting to make sure to showcase to the visitor that they are safe enough for you to come back. Please come back to the theme park, obviously. So they are finding cold emails to them. So what you want to do is all these different industry, go on Google and search which are the one that could be your target. And they're just sending out cold emails. And then is having a web page. So having a specific web page there where we will help you as well. So we do have all the contents and images that you need. If you need anything, just let us know and we'll be able to provide you with that. You probably need to convert that translate that into your local languages. But these are the two main things that will actually bring you quite a lot of responses and a lot of business to you. The rest, we will support you on that. So for example, the technical side, we will support you on that. Verification. So do work with us on the installation, because the most important thing is where you have installed the camera. So as long as you've installed the camera in the position that we recommend, then that's the main part of the job for you is done. Then the rest of it we will take care. If there's any issue, we will be working on that. So it's this kind of collaboration is quite unique, and you probably won't see with any other manufacturer. And for example, with this, I want to mention this Hong Kong government. Initially, when they started, they have a few vendors going on all at the same time, because they just split, because they don't have time to do pilot, and they have a big facility, many different facilities that they need to do. So what they do is they obviously are not going to bet everything on one basket. So they're not going to bet all their eggs on one basket. So they are having different vendors going on at the same time. And in the end, they're finding, we obviously have thieving issues as well, because from the beginning, so we've got to be very honest with that, but they have found that all the others just couldn't deliver. So at least at the end, we deliver something that is accurate and something that is working, that they're still working out. So this is actually a real case. And we're talking about the other vendor, which are big vendor as well, like Brickstream. So you probably find a lot of manufacturers out there that are even stop providing this occupancy because they just couldn't handle it. They didn't have enough time because this thing is too new. It just comes to the world by surprise. It's just too new, but at least we are the one that are working and are delivering. So this is the end of my webinar. So today it is just something to share with everyone what our what the system have been successfully deployed in the different type of industry. So maybe you have been targeting a specific industry, but now you might want to see that you can actually target other industry as well. So if you do have your website on there and you're cold emailing all these different industries, you will probably keep you very busy for the year to come. Okay, thank you.